We are recording today here at El Corso, Cebu, and today we are going to talk about happiness. People are going here and there. People are searching all over the world and buying so many things that they think would make them happy. But today, in a very special way, only here at Legendary, we're gonna give you and gonna bring to you what truly makes a person and even you happy. So here we go. Let's deep dive right away with Mr. Edsel Cortez.
Okay. Thank you, Pri, for being a part of your journey on, making your people happy, motivating them by letting them understand what this world is all about. Okay. But first and foremost, this being a very elusive thing, we need to extrapolate by breaking this human construct or term called happiness, so that as we break it into pieces, we can get to understand it more fast and get the derivatives for where this boast of happiness will happen in our lives. And it will stop from being elusive then. Okay? So first and foremost, we are creatures of love, whose loving purpose by a loving God who created us is not only to live love, share and experience it to others, but to feel in our sensation that we indeed will be happy creatures, because that's the only way we can be effective in living that example for others. However, since happiness as a construct, human construct, is rather very confusing, okay, breaking it apart to discover how we derive happiness from the term, one is, if you break it apart and if you discover through experiencing, one way to boast the level of our happiness is to learn, because there is happiness in learning. Just like a child who is a learning machine, every time he discovers to learn something, he derives happiness from. Okay? And part of God's design for creating us with a body which is made of flesh and blood, but we're not only flesh and blood, we also have a soul. So to complete the design for humans, where the objective is for us to share this love through a feeling of happiness, is God gave us these senses in order to translate our learning, our experience into sensation, thus we can share it to the world around. And from everything we learn, like making out to someone that we love, driving that new car, having that raise or praise in work, and whatever learning that we do day to day, that puts a level of happiness in us, which is what we call the first derivative, this happiness that comes from learning. Do you have anything to say about that before we proceed, Pre?
Well, I'm very much schooled today, Pre, so I would rather get enrolled today as you deep dive more into making people happy and enlightening people as to what this thing really is. Well, as I was listening to you, I strongly believe that we really don't have to go far and wide to have this happiness, right? So bring it on. I will listen to you for the rest of the hour and for the rest of this time that we are filming this video and this legendary thing.
Alright, but rest assured that in every level and layer that we would level up our discussions on, I will always be asking for your take, because after deriving happiness from learning, the next thing that we can experience happiness in the senses that God provided us is when in what we learn or what we experience, we can also learn to the point of growing, because unless we grow, part of God's design that we become independent, we become righteous, if you call it in the Bible term, we can never reach that process unless we imbibe it as part of our growing. And so what I'm saying is, as we grow, we boast the second level of happiness in us, because if we look at it from the biological perspective, your learning from the past that made you who you are today will only make you more sophisticated, but you become also more advanced. Now, in terms of how the soul grows from the experience of the past, especially if the experience are that of pain and suffering, and if you can be able to, from that experience, realize or deduce meaning that would allow you to grow, then you will gain new insights, new wisdom, new experiences that you now can practice to relate a new life to live with. Isn't that another level by which you can say you are happy? So we have one more level to discuss, but first, your take up this point, Pre.
Pre, it seems like I'm opening one module thing and one, not just one theory, but I'm opening and reading a book today. Ang kaibahan lang ay naririnig ko, hindi ko nababasa. But definitely, Pre, I wanted to say this to you. This is really the first time that I've heard this thing. And this is one great insight that dapat di natin itatago to. We should tell the world and proclaim this thing to the world that, hey, here's a thing to be happy.
Honestly, Pre, I've been keeping this for a while. I was looking for the right forum, the right people to appreciate this insight, and I'm glad you came to, investigate on the little that I know about this. So moving on to the next layer of happiness derivative, so that we can resolve the issue of this term being elusive in everyone's life is, as soon as you learn where you are happy from, just like a child, and as soon as you learn or experience the growing process of your pain, which are where many opportunities hide, okay? Because pain is only a camouflage. Suffering is only an instrumentation to a more enlightened life, to a more successful life ahead. But the highest form of happiness that we derive, while we take credit from what we learn, and especially from the experiences of growing from out of that experience, it's a different level, Pre, if we reach the highest form of happiness or its derivative, which is realization from what meaning we derive from those experiences. Because it is this meaning that will put you to live a life on purpose. So to simplify, it was part of God's design in creation on the sixth day that He instituted marriage so that mankind can experience what agape love is all about. And in the paradox of parenthood, Pre, by Robert, I forgot the name of the social scientist, where this parenthood paradox seems to be messy, very disorganized. You see a lot of struggle in the life of a parent rearing a child, because they would experience sometimes their face be peed in the middle of the night as they change diapers. And even to the point of you have to wipe poops on the wall. But even this experience, most parents will not trade with any other else, because it is in this experience that they feel the fulfillment, the joy. Because if you look at the perspective of human life from both the biological perspective as well as from the concept of we having a soul, from the biological perspective, we happen to be designed as created to be a colony. And to understand the term colony is to look at the life of ants, where we cannot survive to be alone. So the saying, no man is an island, is specifically true. So just like the ants, they live to cooperate as a colony. Okay? And that's the reason why that biological derivative by which we can be destined or are destined to do cooperation is the experience of a parent to be able to nurture and serve his own species. Okay? And for the soul, okay, you see, our mind being a part of the greater mind, which is the mind of God who created us. And in the Bible, where unless there will be that renewing of the mind, unless you realize that your mind is part of the greater whole, which is the mind of God, we need to submit the workings of our mind by putting proper, empowering thoughts and emotions, just so, living a life despite the pain, the obstacles, the struggle, and the pain, if we know how to capitalize and to see only the good side of what life offers, then we can arrive at the meaning that we are designed for, and that will make our life very purposeful for humanity to, be benefited on. And I'm glad you did this topic of trying to, investigate on this. As we simplify, it will be made easier for you to share this on others. Thank you very much for this particular journey, Brad. I hope to be a part of your next journey soon.
But wait, there's more, pre. You mentioned about pain and purpose. So what you're trying to say is there's purpose in every painful experience, and that if only people can just get to that level of understanding na may dahilan lahat ng ito, lahat ng pain na ito. That there's a reason for this.
Di ba may sinasabi naman, Bre, na in the hand of a loving Creator who is all wise and knowing, wala namang masamang tinapay eh. There is nothing wasted in the creative powers of God, that even the consequences of choices that we make that led to pain somehow, in Romans 8:28, He can still use it for our good. So for as long as we invest our trust and our faith in God, for as long as we renew our mind to align with His, all the experiences that we thought will make our life impossible, Bible promises says there is nothing impossible with God. Now, if you want me to wrap up with everything that we have actually talked about, there are only 3 points I want to get back, if you are ready with that, and then we wrap this off. Because you were earlier saying that we derive happiness from learning. So the challenge and the points to ponder on is, are we living a life enough to realize that every moment we learn enough to give us that spark of joy that we can share to others? The second, on the issue of experience, did we invest time to ponder and contemplate on the every experience, not only joyful ones, but the traumas brought about by pain, enough to offer us some learning or growing experience for our maturing process? And finally, as we get stuck to all of these elements together, did we find time hoping to put into real practice the things that not only we learn but we also grow about, so that it blesses mankind? Because even that, when properly put in the right perspective, there's a saying, it does not only benefit your mindset, but it will in fact benefit your overall health perspective. What I'm saying is, it will make you even more healthy moving on to life ahead. Okay?
Wow, wonderful. That's an amazing lesson that we have here at Legendary. Now, if you are really new to this channel, kindly, if you feel blessed by our lesson today, share it with other people. And don't forget the name of the man that we have here today, Mr. Edsel Cortez, giving and bringing to us straight right here from this park, the lesson on happiness. Here at Legendary, everything is innocent. We don't edit. When we come here, we just talk about it straight, no notes, no whatsoever. This is Legendary, and I hope we are making your afternoon, your morning, your evening, your noon time, your coffee time a very legendary. And don't you dare forget this face we've got here.
Thank you.
Edsel Cortez. You're the man, pre.
Thank you, Brad.